Black Rose, the Fall of Beacon. We start this part off with Ruby, as it's the day of the finals of the festival. As Ruby's staying on top of the stadium, looking down. Yes, everything's going according to plan. A shadow pops out of her shadow. Tell the others. We strike soon. When the other Grimm strike, we attack. And we attack Beacon. As Shadow replies and just sneaks off. As she turns back to see, the fighters. Like Pyrrha fighting with an opponent. Why do I sense a huge aura around her? It's a massive one, but not as much as Crow. As he had known his name as he had heard it when Winter called him Crow when she was hiding in the vent. As she then turns around, as she was on top of Stadium, she now jumps off, landing on a plane heading towards back to Beacon. As we see Shadow, who is, moving through the shadows as he reaches the forest. As the Wolf Grimm pops out of the shadow and starts moving left and right towards the cave, where all the other Grimm are coming. As he reaches it, he sees a large Grimm with ice sculptures. Wolf Grimm with ice sculptures on its, arms and back legs, and its back, as it is looking over at Shadow as he had arrived. As Shadow looks up at this Grimm. As this Grimm is about to attack Shadow, as a paw just pins the Grimm down, as it's Ruby's mother, as well as Shadow's mother. As it roars into the beast's ear as it whimpers down. As Shadow relayed Ruby's message. As all the Grimm Wolves started moving towards Beacon. We go to Ruby, who had just arrived back at, Beacon, as the chaos fiasco of the Grimm attack happens. Cinder's plan goes into motion. As Ruby notices the White Fang is attacking, Beacon as well. As some of them mistake her for a student, as a few of them attack, Ruby simply just turns into shadows, or turns into rose petals, and goes by two of the White Fang members, as both of them fall over to the floor, as she had cut them with, her scythe, Crescent Rose. As three more come running towards her, she blasts the first one with Crescent Rose, as the other two come up with melee weapons, like swords, coming towards Ruby. As she swings her scythe back, shoots, propelling herself forward, and slightly cutting one of them in half. As the other one tries to, hit Ruby with a sword, she quickly spins around and hits him with the back end of Crescent Rose, sending him towards the wall, knocking him out. Hopefully none of them get in my way. I need more information. As she looks at Beacon, which is being attacked by Grimm. As fire is happening, the White Fang is attacking. As she's walking down the halls. We now go to the forest line where a whole bunch of Wolf Grimm are coming out, running towards Beacon, having confrontations with other Grimm. As the same one I described with the ice features comes roaring out and grabs a, Scorpion Grimm and flips it on its back before clawing it to pieces. As the Grimm Wolves start to roam the campus, and Ruby's mother is seen in the distance, just walking towards Beacon. As several of the Grimm are attacking students, mostly White Fang, as the evacuation of students had already begun. So mostly White Fang members and hunters and huntresses that were still there, as well as the security bots. We now go to, well, Ruby, who's walking down the hall as she comes across a few of her Grim Wolves tearing apart some White Fang members. As 3 of them are there, as Ruby's in front of them, as John just simply walks, out of the hallway he's in and just sees, Ruby and the 3 Grim behind her. As he immediately turns around, nope, as he starts to just walk away like nothing happened. As Ruby just turns back to the Grim. Grab him. He may have some useful information. As the 3 Grim Wolves start to chase him. They may not be enough if he's a skilled hunter. As then she whistles, as the big, decent size Ice Wolf Grim comes walking towards Ruby. I need you to make sure they catch a student with blonde hair, a shield, and a sword. As it nods, good, do not fail me. Do I understand? As the Grim walks away, that should deal with that. As then a few White Fang members come roaring towards her. As then the Grim that had half white and half black come jumping out from nowhere and just slashes the 2 to pieces. Oh, it's you again. You put me to sleep that one time. Why are you here? I haven't seen you since, you put me to sleep. As the Grim does not reply, it just simply walks away. What an interesting Wolf Grim. Doesn't follow my orders, but yet follows me. Curious. As then the White Grim comes over. Oh, sister. As she puts her hand on her sister's head, which being the Wolf Grim. It looks like you came to join me. As, again, a hunter decides to come out with a machine gun and starts firing towards, Ruby and the Grim. As she looks back, as she uses her scythe to reflect all the bullets. As then her sister opens her mouth as a huge beam of light comes firing from her mouth, going straight through the hunter. Excellent work. As then several Grim are coming through the buildings as we see them roaming the halls of Beacon. As several of them are, being killed and all that. As we go to the cafeteria where the same thing happened with Yang and Blake, they fought Adam. As several Wolf Grim start approaching. Why are there so many Grim here? I thought there wasn't supposed to be this many. As several of them charge towards Adam, as he just slices them to pieces. Before walking away. Blake takes Yang away from Beacon. And we go back to John, who's currently running the halls. What my luck, I had to come across Grim today. And how are they even in the school? Isn't this a hunter school? As he's running down the hall with the 3 Grim chasing him. As he slides to turn a corner. As the 3 Grim attempt to slide as one goes flying down the hall and the other 2 manage to make the slide to the corner as they start running after John. Well, at least I got one of them off my tail. As then he happens to run into something. As he runs into, a White Fang member. As he hits the man's leg. As it was a tall White Fang member with a chainsaw. As he turns John looks up at him. As he then pulls it and just starts, tearing through one of the Grim Wolves that were coming towards him. And decided to ignore John. As John gets up and just, continues to run as the other Grim Wolf goes after John. As the, the White Fang member is about to go after it, is when it gets suddenly frozen in place, completely in an ice cube. As he moves his eyes to see the big, well, Frost Grim Wolf standing above, as it raises both of its hands and just squishes the White Fang member. As the other Grim Wolf that had slid catches up with the other Grim Wolf chasing John. Why is my luck today like, first, I fall down the stairs. Second, I get hit in the face with a pie. Third, well, this. As he continues to start running through like a balcony area, like a bridge, as the Grimwolf starts to chase. And I'm gonna say, you know what? The security bots were around the school, as some of them approach to help. As they manage to take down the Grim, as then the bridge collapses as John and the security bots start to fall. As then the Grimwolf that was behind jumps and grabs John just by his collar as it starts to tumble and hits the ground. Coincidentally, landing pretty smoothly without many injuries, but John had managed to use his sword to vanquish the Grim. As he gets up, as he is surrounded by Grim Wolves, and this huge Grim, well, the Ice Grim, pretty much, wolf, as he's like, oh, there's no way I'm getting out of this, aren't I? As he looks at the big Grim Wolf, basically about to, well, drop his weapons, when then he's just frozen in place. Weapons, arms, and legs and all up to his neck. As the big Ice Grim Wolf just grabs him before walking away. As this is where the top of Beacon was basically destroyed, and Cinder and Pyrrha, I believe, were fighting. Of course, Ruby makes it to the top, as Cinder is about to finish off Pyrrha. Ruby shoots Cinder in the arm. As Cinder looks over, another nuisance. As she asks, who are you? As she approaches with two Wolf Grim behind her. As Cinder orders, Grim Wolves, get here! As the Grim Wolves don't even attack and they just run towards her. As Cinder makes like a fire sword and just cuts the two Grim Wolves to pieces. Why they didn't obey me? As Ruby is just watching. Who are you? Ruby says, that's none of your business. As Ruby's had enough, as she activates her silver eyes, as Cinder had finally managed to send an arrow towards Pyrrha, well, killing her, same as in canon, and the Grim that had come up the side to help Cinder was turned to stone, and Cinder was injured. As Ruby had used her silver eyes. As then she gets a headache as she stumbles for a moment. As she falls backward, her sister, the White Wolf, Grim, lifts her up a bit. I guess the side effects of... As then she gets a more urging pain for some reason. As she falls onto one knee. What was that? As she looks towards the moon. As she doesn't see anything, but senses eyes, like someone was watching. As she quickly gets on her sister's back, as she sees her mother, who had just arrived at Beacon, storming the grounds, destroying any buildings in her path. As she looks from up there and sees the Ice Grim Wolf taking John to the forest. Yes, perfect. I'll now question him and see if he knows anything. After all, if I remember, there are certain classes. Maybe they can tell me more about Silver Eyes. As Ruby just simply jumps off the top, Same with her sister, as her mother was just below them as they land on her back as she destroys the top of Beacon, sending the tower to fall over. As Beacon is on fire, desolate and overrun by Grimm, which the Grimm are fighting amongst themselves, mostly the Wolf Grimm fighting against all the other Grimm. And so forth. As we see Adam, who is evacuating, and sees there's surely a lot of Grimm here. As she tells Mother, "Mother, we should go. We've done enough damage to Beacon." And, unfortunately, I don't sense Ozpin's presence, as she had memorized Ozpin's aura, which means he's probably dead. It looks like Grimbear's gonna have to wait for that information. We'll have to find another source. As we see the same white Ice Grimm come back, Wolf Grimm, as her mother lowers herself to let Ruby and her sister off. As Ruby walks towards the Ice Grimm, which is taller than most of the Wolf Grimm, by the way. Most. Not compared to Ruby's mother, though. "Listen, I'm gonna call you Freeze. Freeze this place." As basically a huge mist of ice comes around as ice starts to appear around Beacon. Starts freezing several parts of Beacon. "Good work. Now, take me to where you took that student. I assume. No, Hunter." As it nods and just starts walking away. And this is where Ruby and the rest of the Grimwolves would leave. Hopefully y'all enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe for more.